the one, the only, Ben Sion.
Good morning and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube, just Daf It, as we continue Maseches Gittin, finishing almost Maseches Gittin. We're doing Gittin Daf Pei Dal today, number 84. We'll start from the bottom of Pei Gimel and Aleph, 83b. The two dots, about 5 lines from the bottom. Boi Mine Rava Rav Nachman. Rava asked Rav Nachman the following question: Hayom I Adishti Ulamachar Adishti. He says to a woman, "I'm divorcing you today, but tomorrow, the next day, you're going to be my wife again." Wow, is that a good get? You could ask the question both according to Rebbe and Mishnah, both according to the Rabbanan. Right, remind you again, the Machlokes, Rebbe and the Rabbanan, is a case where you said, I'm a garish you, and you're muteris to everyone except for one person. Rebbe says it's a good get. Rabbanan says it's not a good get. Look, the only reason Eliezer allowed it is because at least the person you permitted her to, you permitted her forever. Here you're not permitting her to, only today you're divorced, but tomorrow you're not divorced. Odilma, Loshna, or maybe it's no different. The Rabbanan say it doesn't work over there because he didn't separate from her. Here, once he separated for 1 day, so he separated, and presumably, the way the Mefarshim explain is that the second condition doesn't take effect, right? He severed the marriage, and then the fact that he said afterwards, tomorrow again you're my wife, is inconsequential. After he asked the question, he was able to answer the question himself. Mistabra, Bein l'Rebbe ben l'Rabbanan, Kevan the Pascha, Taf Pei Dalet and Aleph. According to both of them, once you sever the marriage, even for 1 second, it's over. Vis-a-vis you, everybody, the marriage is over, and it would be a complete gerushin. Tana Rabbanan, Hareza Giteh Achmanash Nasi Luponi, Harezu Lo Tinase. You make a get, but you say in the get that I want you to get married to a certain man. It's only a get if you get married to a certain man. She should not get married. However, the Brisa says if she does get married, she should stay in that marriage. My Gomer, what is the Brisa saying? Amar of Nachman Hachi Gomer. This is what it's saying. She shouldn't marry him, the guy that was stipulated in the contract. Shemer Yomru Nishayan Nostin Matan. People are going to stay. People are giving their wives as presents, right? You have to marry this guy. It's bad. It's a bad precedent you're setting. When he says la'acher, if she marries somebody else, let's say she shouldn't leave that marriage. Because we don't want people to think people shouldn't give their wives as presents. We don't want people to think that. Lo mafkina, meaning that we let her stay with a second husband. Right? The get was only dependent on she had to marry someone else. She didn't marry someone else. She married this guy, right? Who's not the someone else. Then she's an Ashes ish. She's still the marriage of the first guy. If you're committing adultery, we take you out. If based it has control. This is what it means to say. She shouldn't marry him. People shouldn't say just give your wife as a present. If she does marry him, let's say it's right. The gzera not to get married. If they do get married, she shouldn't leave. The mishum gzera lo mafkina. Because of the gzera, we don't b'diavad force her to get out of the marriage. Unlike Rava, lo hu de lo tinase hala acher tinase. Rava says it implies from what you're saying, Rav Nachman, that she shouldn't lechatchila get married to this man, the one that was stipulated in the contract, but to another person she could get married. V'habai kiyumei tonight. How could she get married to another man? She has to first fill tonight that the gerushin should be effective. Maybe he'll tell me, okay, let her go marry this man, and then she can get a divorce from him, and then she could, let her marry this other man, not the one that was in the contract. Get divorced, and then she can marry the man that she's supposed to marry. In which case, Lemafreya, it was a good get, and her marriage to the second person was a good marriage because she was divorced retroactively. Ulahach the pligas leder of Yehuda Kadam Rav Nachman compared to the exact case that you argued the Rav Yehuda about. What's that case? Ditmar, if he says I'm making a neder that my eyes I shouldn't sleep. Basically, I won't sleep today. Depending if I sleep tomorrow. If I sleep tomorrow, then today I shouldn't be sleeping. Amar Rav Yehuda, you said Al Yisha Yom Shema Yisha Lemachar. Rav Yehuda says, don't sleep today because you might sleep tomorrow. Rav Yehuda says, Al Yishan Hayom, she shouldn't sleep today, Shema Yishan Lamachar. Because you might end up sleeping tomorrow. You might be able to control yourself and you'll violate the neder. Rav Nachman Amar, no, Yishan Hayom, you could sleep today. We're not worried that tomorrow he's going to fall asleep. Right, so here also, Rav Nachman is, we're not worried over here. Let her marry, right, another man, not the one specified in the contract. Then she'll get divorced from him, marry him, tonight, go back to him, and everything is okay because she married that man for a second, got divorced, go back to the other guy. So therefore, the gerushin was effective retroactively. She didn't commit adultery. So the Merzaki Hashta Hasam, you can't compare the two cases. Hasam B'didei Kaima. When it comes to sleeping, it's up to him. The boy Mivras Nafshe B'Stilvasa. He can press thorns against himself, force himself not to fall asleep. Below knowing he won't fall asleep tomorrow. Hacha B'dita Kaima Li. Over here, gerushin, her getting divorced from a man, is not dependent on her. Only a man can divorce a woman. A woman can't get divorced out of her choice from a man. El Amar Rava says, Harezu lo tinase, lo v'lo la'acher. The meaning of the Bryce is she can't marry him. She shouldn't get married to him and not to anyone else. Lo tinase shem yom shezei no sim. The reason she can't marry him is because of Gzeira. What do people say? La'acher lo tinase. She can't marry someone else. The ba'yik yumel tana. It's adultery. She has to mekayim her tana. V'im says lo seitze. She marries him. She doesn't have to leave the marriage. Gzeira lo mafkina. Because of Gzeira, we don't force her to get married, get out of it. La'acher teitze. If she marries somebody else, she has to leave that marriage. The ba'yik yumel tana. She has to go ahead and go forth and make sure she's mekayim her tonight. Tani Gavasi the Rava is a price which according to the Rava, lo v'lo la'acher. Shouldn't marry him and not someone else. When this is low, she marries him, lo says it. If she marries him, she doesn't have to leave the marriage. Someone else, she has to leave the marriage and go ahead and mekayim the tonight, so it shouldn't be adultery. Tani Rabbanan. Harei zegite amanash dali l'ragia amanash terdi l'tom amanash tivloi kanish l'dal amos amanash tivi li kana ben me'am amanash tavri asayam bagadol b'raglayach ain't no get. You make some sort of tonight which is impossible, really, for human beings to accomplish. To walk on water. I'm not talking Jesus over here. I'll talk about what's the reason behind this halacha. We'll see in a second. These are things which are basically impossible, right? You can't swallow a reed which is 4 amos, or carry a reed which is 100 amos, or go up to the heavens, or go down to the home. I know with airplanes, I don't know. Maybe you can go to Rakia. Have to reevaluate it nowadays, but especially spaceships, you go up to the Rakia, whether Rakia is considered space or not. Whatever reason doesn't work. Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema Omer because that get. Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema says it is a get. Why? Call him Rabbi Yehuda ben Tema. Call tonight. She has shar l'kaimo b'sofo v'hisna lab mitkilaso ina log mafliga b'dara b'kasher. The point is that you say something that's pretty much impossible for human beings to do. So it's like you're joking around. You're threatening her. You're saying I'm gonna I'm not gonna give you a get unless you make it hard for your wife. You had a bad relationship, bad divorce, ugly divorce. So I'm not. It's not going to be a get unless you do something impossible. For some reason, it's ineffective. It's like mafliga b'dvarim. He's just trying to push her away, trying to cause her pain, cause her sorrow. So it's not a good tonight. The tonight never was a tonight. Why was it never a tonight? I'll talk about that at Yud Ben Sia. What's the reason? Which we pass him like Yud Ben Tema. Why is it not a tonight? We'll talk about that. So. Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rav. Halacha Kirivim and Seiman. Halacha follows Kirivim and Seiman. Amar Rav Nachman Yitzchak. Masis Nami Daik. Our Mishnah also follows Kirivim and Seiman. The Gzani Kol Shem Shol L'Kaim V'Sov V'Yitzchak B'Abas Kilas is no Kaim. Right. The Mishnah says any of the tonight which you could do at the end, but you can't do that you could do at the end, and he was master at Tchila. It's a good tonight, which implies what? How you have shart to know batal. If it's not possible to do. Now it's batal. Shramina. Let's say he wants to give her a get on condition that you eat pork. Mahu. Or forbids you from eating pork. Amar Abaye, it's the same thing. Right? No one's going to violate eating pork. So it's something almost impossible to do. So it's not a tonight. and the get is valid without the kiyum of the Tanai. Rav Amar Efshar it's possible to eat pork and she got malchus, so it's possible. So the Tanai is a valid Tanai, and the gerushin is only valid if she eats pork. Labaye klal lasuye basar chazi. Right? Rav Yehuda says two things. He says kazek get, and then he says klal amar Yehuda. So kazek get is something to exclude something else, and klal usually comes to include something else. So klal. Labai klal asuye basar chazer. Labai klal is coming to include basar chazer. Right, to include basar chazer. Larava kazel amute basar chazer. Right, according to Abai, klal is coming to include even basar chazer as an example of mafliga b'dvarim. It's not a good tonight. The Rava says kazeh, right? Impossible to know him, right? Going to to Gehenna, I don't know, the home, whatever it means. Can't do it. This you can do. So therefore, this would be a gaval tonight. Meisive, hareza gidach nashiti vali laploni. I'm giving you a get on condition that you have bia, you're together with another man, a certain man. This guy ma tonight hareza get. You love it. Get the get is only valid if she's together with that man. Amanash lo tivali laabo laavicha ein choshen shema nivel lehem. She says to get on condition that you're not together with my father or your father. We don't have to worry that she actually was together with him. So it's a good get. However, the Brisa fails to mention the case. Why didn't he make a stipulation? Why didn't he include at least the halacha in a case where she made a stipulation on condition that you were together with my father, your father, Lokasani? According to Abaye, it makes very much sense because there it's not a Tanai. Because it's something to an Isser. She cannot be with her own father, which is Isser Arayas, or with her husband's father, which is Kalasa, which is also an Erva. So according to Abaye, when it's something which is Aser, that's considered Mafliga B'dvarim, like Chazir. L'Rava Kasha, according to Rava, it should be a valid Tanai. Amar L'cha Rava, Vishlam Abasar Chazir, Efshad Achla V'Lakia. Rava makes the distinction. When it comes to pork, she could eat it and get mouthless. Ploni, Nami, Efshad Mishad Mimona, right? The case where she has to be married to be together with Ploni. She could get him to seduce him to be with her by giving him a lot of money. It's not up to her, right? Being together requires usually two people to be involved. They know it's aser. Her father and her father-in-law know it's aser. They can do an iser. So therefore, it's like impossible. It's not dependent on her. So the Gemara says at this point, L'Rava klal lasui abba b'avicha. Klal comes to include cases where it's mafliga b'dvarim. For example, people be arayas which are not depend on her. Kazel muti basar chazer. That comes to include basar chazer, which would be efshar to makayim. You could eat basar chazer in the malchus. Top of pedal and abad is lavai klal lasui basar chazer. Klal comes to include basar chazer. That is not possible. Kazel muti ploni. Kazel, when he says to exclude a case where it is possible, that's talking about ploni. Even though it's highly unlikely to be together with a man, is usually znos. Be asr midrabanan, presumably. Be as penuya is asr midrabanan, usually. If she's like a zona, if she's not a zona, maybe not. Ploni. It's coming to exclude ploni. The case of ploni, that is a valid tanai, and if the tanai is in the sky, is a get. If not, not. Meisive. Reis asked a question from Brisa. Reis a gitech amanash dokli basar chazer. It gives her a get on condition that you eat pork. Zara, or she was Israeli. Amanash tokli b'truma. She says a condition that you eat truma. Maisa Nazir, she's a Nazir. Amanash tish diai. Again, these are all things she would be a chayav malchus or mitzvah shemayim for. This kaimat I raise a get. Vim lavi no get. L'Rava nichala bai kasha. According to Rava, you can make tanayim like this because it's possible she'll violate the iser and get the malchus, get the punishment. It should be an invalid tonight. The tonight should be thrown away. You think this Brisa accords with everybody? Hamani Rabbanan here. It's not the opinion of Yehuda ben Tema who we hold like. It's Rabbanan who argue on him. The typically the Masna Mashkas of Bataras. Now Gemara asks a more fundamental question. Whenever you make a tonight, for example, eating basar chazir or having bia with arayos or things like that, how could you make a tonight? Rava says it's a good tonight. So according to Rava, is it a Masna Mashkas of Bataras? You can't make a tonight to tell someone to violate something in the Torah, and normally it's no bata. How could it be a valid time according to Rava? Amar Ravada Brei Ravika Ki Amina Masamash Kasam B'Torah Tanal Bata Go and share exclusive onasa. The Huka Akar, right? When he makes it tonight, I'm going to marry a woman, but I'm not going to provide her needs for her. I'm not going to provide her food, her clothing, being together with her. Those are essential needs of a marriage. I'm not going to provide those things for her. He's being okir over Torah with his tonight. He's uprooting something the Torah obligates him to his wife. Abal haka, akra. Over here, she's the one who's uprooting. She's the one who's uprooting it because she's the one that's eating the chazer. Maskiv la ravina. He made the time, but she did this. Or maskiv ravina klum ka'akra i. She's the one who's okay. Look, you make tonight the deg. The reason she's eating the pork is just to makayim his tonight, get the get right. He's the one really that caused it. It's really right. The truth of the matter is, who's to blame? Him. He's the one who's okay. That's a case where he's saying, I'm getting married to you, I'm a kaddish you, I'm an asset, I'm not chayav shir ksus v'ona. Right? Lo teichol, lo tigar. He's not forcing her to eat the chazer. It's still possible for her not to eat the chazer, not to have a gerushin. So he's not oker davar in the Torah. He's not forcing something. When he makes it tonight, he's typically, I'm getting married to you, and I'm removing the terms. The Torah obligates me in certain things, and I don't want those certain things. That's going against the Torah. Here, he's making the gerushin dependent on that, but she doesn't have to follow through. So it's not oker davar in the Torah, and it is a valid time. Case like Yasi, it's lenu had meno. So the Mishnah says that in a case, according to the Rabbanan, who say you're megarish a woman on condition that she is muteris to everybody except to one person, right? It's according to the Rabbanan, it's possible. So what do? You take it back and give it again. Montana, who's the author of Mishnah? Amar Chizkiah Rishon Elazar. Rishon Elazar. The sign Rishon Elazar. Omer Ashi is Lana Men V'Yachri Den Allah. We had a previous Mishnah which talked about a machlokes, 3 cases in the Mishnah where it talked about basically you give her a get and she thinks it's a shtarchov or she's sleeping or she's not aware of what's going on, and then she wakes up and you say it's a get. So according to the Rebbe, it's okay. According to Rishon Elazar, you have to take it back and give it to her. So our Mishnah is saying you have to go back and give it to her following Rishon Elazar, not Rebbe. Our Mishnah could even be Rebbe. Dilchan Amar, your person. This is a reference to Rav Kahana, which is from Babel. Shiny Hacha, Hoil the Kanasal Ikpasal Kahuna. Right? Our Mishnah is talking about a case where it is a partially valid get, right? Even though I want to say it's not a valid get, it's a valid get vis-a-vis making her called a grusha. She can no longer marry a Kohen anymore, right? That we learned that one of the sources, like Isha, Grusha mi Isha, right? Kohen can't marry a Grusha mi Isha, even from one man she's Grusha. So and that's considered a valid gerushin vis-a-vis that. So therefore, since it affected something, even according to the Rabbanan, so we have to redo it. Otherwise, right? It's basically a halfway done get. It's a halfway done get. You can't just say you have to redo it. Otherwise, it's right. In the other cases, he did get Maisa Gerish, and she doesn't know about it, so he has to make her aware. However, here, he actually he did something, and whatever he did was effective partially. You can't say it's lacking a shleimus. It happened already. Something happened already. You have to go ahead and revert back to the original and mevatel and destroy what you just did. That's why you take it back and give it again without saying that tonight. In order to mevatel what you just did, because otherwise it was effective partially. In other cases, when you gave it to her, she's sleeping, there was nothing happened yet. It wasn't fulfilled yet. It's the exact same get. But here it was partially effective. You have to redo it and start over again. Kasu b'socho. The Mishnah says you wrote in it. Let's say you wrote the Tanai in it, and then you erased it. So you have to write a new get once you write it inside. Amar Rav Kasu b'socho Tanai. It has to be written inside, meaning verbally saying it. If you verbally start saying the Tanai, you don't have to You don't have to throw out that get, right? If you wrote the Tanai in the get and then you erase it, you have to throw out the get. The Mishnah said. So that is pshita kosvu b'socho. It says written inside. The same. Hani milu the achar Torah. What I mean, kosvu b'socho means you wrote in it after the Torah. Torah is basically the main part of the gerushin. You write hariyach m'taras kol adam. Also, it includes midrabanan, the name of the man, woman, and the places where they live. That's the Torah. The other text of the get, which details all the halachas of the get, which is ancillary to the rest of the get, that's not as important as the Torah. So, the Gemara says, when it says kasu v'socho, means you wrote it inside of it after the Torah. if you wrote it while you're writing Eretz Zaretz Chol Adam, right? He said it al peh nami pasul. That would also pasul it, and you'd throw the get away. Kamash Vlan, no, that we would not throw it away. Even as long as it's verbally done, you can just take back your words. You don't have to throw out the get. The Rava says, "Lo shanu el achar Torah." Rava says, "I'm just only talking about where he did it after the Torah. If he made a stipulation, right, that you're megureshes to everyone except for Ploni, afilu al peh nami pasul. Even this verbal declaration invalidates the get. You have to write a new get. But as the Rava goes according to his own reasoning. Rava would tell the people writing Gittin, the scribes writing the get, Shisku shasuki lebal adikasvisul Torah de Gita. Make sure the husband doesn't make any stipulations until you write the Torah. Once you finish writing the Torah, right, and then you're writing the rest of the text of the get, and you can let the husband speak. Shut the husband up before that, because if he says anything, it's going to invalidate the get, which is the way Rava paskins, and I think the way we paskin. We'll stop over here. Stay tuned for Iyun Ben Sia when I talk about this unique halacha today. We learned about a Tanai, which is by mafliga b'dvarim. It's humanly not possible to Makayim. What's the reason it's not a Tanai? We hold like Rehudim and Tema, it's not considered a Tanai. Why is it not a Tanai? We'll talk about that. Iyun Ben Sia coming up next.